Zionism is a political philosophy which has brought about the state of Israel, the so-called state of Israel. This political philosophy has nothing to do with religion. On the contrary, it seeks to confuse others and let them think that Zionism and Judaism is one and the same. I am a conscious African. I know properly my history. I know that Africa gave Judaism to the world. I know that the first Jews in the world were Africans. Not only do I know this, but I inform everyone who has doubts about it to read a book by Sigmund Freud entitled Moses and Monotheism as a beginning. Consequently, I know that Judaism and Zionism are not the same. Zionism had its first organizational expressions in 1897 in Basel, Switzerland, in Europe. Here was a man by the name of Theodor Herzl, H-E-R-Z-L. He was the founder of Zionism. He said that he was going to find the state that God promised the Jews. Listen to this very carefully. This man, Herzl, was an atheist. He believed that there was no God. He said God did not exist. Now, how is it the man who believes that God does not exist is going to find a state that God promised to his chosen people? I tell you, this man is Satan in disguise. Zionism is a satanic movement. It is devil. It is imperialism. It is racist. It has gone and taken the lands of the Palestinian people and through terrorism has driven them out. And through terrorism, it maintains its power. And the United States of America, with over 6 million homeless, sends to Israel billions and billions and billions of dollars everywhere to bomb Palestinian people while homeless people are here and unemployed are here. Zionism is going to raise this war and make the people of America become clear to what it is and become anti-Zionist and stop the aid to Israel and use the money to take care of the homeless in this country.
All right, all praise to our Heavenly Father, the Most High Yah, named by our Lord and Savior. Some of y'all call him Jesus, some of y'all call him Yahushua, some of y'all call him Yahweh Shai. So what you just heard and who you just heard was Kwame Ture, right? AKA Stokely Carmichael, okay? Now, the bottom line is what I want to show y'all. You see, this is not a book that's written by Hebrew Israelites. This is the Jewish Encyclopedia edited by David Bridger. Right? And what do we see in here? We talk about the Exodus, as y'all can see from right there. All right. And what does it say? Seen from Reki Mire's tomb at Thebes about 1450 BCE, showing Jewish slaves. Now you see what color they got the Jewish slaves? Helping in Egyptian construction work by carrying materials to the brickmakers and wall painters of Amenhotep II. Okay? So y'all see what color they showed it. And you see this Exodus, the second book of the 5 books of Moses, known in Hebrew under the title of Shemot Names. The book is divided into 40 chapters. And you see what they show, the exile, okay? But you see what color the Jewish Encyclopedia has, right? So y'all see from the book, okay? Y'all see exactly, what the Jewish Encyclopedia said concerning the children of Israel and what color they had them depicted as, right? Now, what we see that Kwame Ture had said, is that basically that the children of Israel, were Africans. Well, and technically, when you look at it from this perspective, that 70, Jacob and 69 people basically come down, 68 because Joseph was already there. So, but it was 70 people total that came down into Egypt. We get that from the book of Exodus. And they ended up growing and growing and growing, you know what I mean? And basically all these people basically had to be born. And when they were born, they were literally born in Africa because Egypt is in Africa, right? So, you know what I mean? Technically, he's right by saying they were Africans, okay? You know what I mean? The majority of the family was born in Africa. However, you know what I'm saying? We go by lineage and not just by a place of which you're born. This is a lineage thing. That's why Israel is a lineage thing, okay? But anyway, when we get into this, we understand at the time of Jacob's trouble, in which, affliction starts coming to the children of Israel. But this is not something for you to be afraid of. It's also, a sign telling you that, you better be prepared, because what happened with the children of Israel when they was in Egypt? In bondage, okay? The first time. Eventually, the Most High started afflicting all of these nations and all these people, all the nation of Egypt, the thing that they thought to do to the children of Israel ended up turning on them. And then the next thing, there was, affliction, throughout the whole land, because it was time for Israel to get ready to leave Egypt and go back to the promised land. So, we know from the Most High that, when it's time for him to bring the children of Israel and send the Redeemer back, we already know all hell's about to break loose on the earth. So what they're doing with these SNAP benefits, you know what I'm saying? Is this the beginning, right, of everything that's about to come on? You know what I'm saying? The judgment that's about to come on all these nations in which, you know what I mean, the children of Israel has been scattered. This is where you got to look at the SNAP benefit things, right? Now, they might just be doing this just to try to get people out there to go vote. We know how they are, right? That might be what this whole thing is. They might just shut things down for a month, whatever, get everybody to go run out here for the Democrats and all that. You know what I mean? So matter of fact, let me show y'all this next clip so you can see, you know what I mean? I think this is the governor of Massachusetts talking about them going to literally, you know what I mean, cut the SNAP benefits off, which is, you know what I mean, supplemental nutrition, you know what I mean, program, you know, assistance program, them taking these benefits away from the poor in the earth. But let me let y'all see this next clip.
Today, I want to talk about another threat. President Trump has chosen to stop all SNAP benefits to Americans starting next week. You know, leadership is a choice. And sadly, President Trump has chosen to take away food from people all around this country. Let me tell you the impact in Massachusetts. That's going to mean that 1 million people in Massachusetts are not going to have their food benefits starting next week. 32% of them are children, 31% are people with disabilities, 26% are seniors. So over 1 million people in the Bay State next week will lose their food benefits, will not be able to go to the store and get the food that they need to feed themselves and their families. Again, the population most directly impacted: children, seniors, people with disabilities. Now, the president is making a choice, because at every other point in our history when there has been a government shutdown, whether it was back in 2018 or before that in 2013 or 1990, 1995, any time before when there has been a government shutdown, food benefits continue because they're essential. Americans need access to that food to be able to live. President Trump is making a choice because right now, sitting in Washington is a contingency fund of billions of dollars that the president can use to make these funds available next week to relieve the anxiety that so many people are experiencing around the country, including in Massachusetts. So I just want to be clear with the public. This is what is happening. This is the choice that Donald Trump has made. It's to take food away from people, to end SNAP benefits starting next week. It doesn't need to happen. I asked the president and the administration to release those contingency funds for the duration of this shutdown so that people can be fed.
All right, so next we go to the BBC, right? So this is being reported, you know, worldwide, you know what I mean? So it ain't just, you know, the governor of Massachusetts or whoever it was, right? What does it say? U.S. government says it will stop paying for food aid next week. Okay, so you see, and this is what it says. All right, food assistance used by more than 40 million Americans will not be distributed from November due to the ongoing U.S. government shutdown, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Bottom line, the well has run dry, the department said in a notice on its website, which also blamed Democrats in the Senate for the impasse. Okay. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, that's what it's called, is used by 1 in every 8 Americans. So it ain't just, you know what I mean, the children of Israel, right? 1 in every 8 Americans, and plays a vital role in many grocery budgets. Okay, so this is what you got to keep in mind. Earlier this month, the Trump administration declined to draw on a contingency fund that would have continued benefits. So he could have, you know, drew on a contingency fund, but he didn't do it, right? And saying the money was needed for potential emergencies such as natural disasters. Well, this will be a natural disaster, so that makes no sense, right? You're trying to do things that's going to afflict people, right? The poor of the land. And now I want you to see something. When you pull crap like that, you better keep in mind what Psalms 9 says, all right? All right, Psalm 9, and this is what it says. I will praise thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all thy marvelous works. I will be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing praise to thy name, O thou most high. When mine enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish at thy presence. For thou hast maintained my right and my cause. Thou sattest in the throne judging right. Thou hast rebuked the heathen. Thou hast destroyed the wicked. Thou hast put out their name forever and ever. O thou enemy, destructions are come to a perpetual end. And thou hast destroyed cities. Their memorial is perished with them. But the Lord shall endure forever. He hath prepared his throne for judgment. And he shall judge the world in righteousness. He shall minister judgment to the people in uprightness. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee. For thou, Lord, hast not forsaken them that seek thee. Sing praises to the Lord which dwelleth in Zion. Declare among the people his doings. When he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. Okay? So y'all see, you know what I mean? It's now is the time. If this stuff goes down, you got to put your faith and trust in the Most High. Verse 13, have mercy upon me, O Lord, right? Consider my trouble which I suffer of them that hate me. Thou that liftest me up from the gates of death, that I may show forth all thy praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion, I will rejoice in thy salvation. The heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made, and the net which they hid is their own foot taken. So, you know what I mean? You keep laying traps. These people trying to lay traps for the poor. But, you know, when the poor cry out, you know what I'm saying? This is a trap that you're making, and you're going to fall in it yourself. Verse 16, the Lord is known by the judgment which he executed. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Hagaion, Selah. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not always be forgotten. So you see that? The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in thy sight. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Selah. So these people thinking they got about ready to pull this wickedness by putting people, you know what I mean, in peril and making them, you know what I mean, to cry out. This is going to turn on these people that are pulling this crap, right? Let's go back to that article. All right, so now we're back in the BBC article. And as you can see, Democrats have condemned President Donald Trump for refusing to use the contingency fund. So he could have used the contingency fund and you know what I mean, and kept this from going in, you know what I mean, everything being cut off in November, but he didn't. This is perhaps the most cruel and unlawful offense the Trump administration has perpetrated yet, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro and Angie Craig said in a joint statement on Friday. They also criticized Trump for providing assistance to Argentina, okay, and building a new White House ballroom during the shutdown. But see, they're going to talk about that, but they're not talking about them sending that money that they've been sending over to Israel, like Kwame Ture had talked about. They've been sending money over there for years and neglecting, you know, taking care of the American people, right? According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, CBPP, a think tank focused on policies that help low-income families, the contingency fund would only cover about 60% of 1 month of benefits. However, in a letter sent to the Agriculture Department on Friday, Democratic House members said there was still significant funding available in SNAP's contingency reserve, which Congress provides precisely for this reason, that can be used to fund the bulk of November's benefits. So they didn't have to cut this off. So now you see the wickedness of what these people are doing, right? And this is why I'm making this video, because I want people to understand, if you're poor, you don't have to go robbing and stealing. Now you go crying out against these rich people, and they're going to get in trouble. They're going to lay this trap for themselves, right? They asked Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins to release the reserves and then transfer other available money in her department to fully fund the program for the month, right? So they could have funded the program. If they cut this off, they could have funded the program, right? So the Democrats, you know what I mean, shut down the government, and, you know what I mean, Trump, the administration, you know what I'm saying? He basically stopped the contingency plan, that you know, the contingency fund that could have funded this, right? It says, in a memo obtained by U.S. outlets, Rollins said the reserve can only be used for true emergencies, mostly natural disasters. Well, y'all going to cause a natural disaster by doing this. Earlier in its published plan for the shutdown, her department had said it would keep a small number of employees from being furloughed to operate the program, noting Congress has created multi-year contingency funds to ensure states could continue to distribute benefits. SNAP works by giving people reloadable debit cards that can use to buy essential grocery items. A family of 4 on average receives 715 pounds per month, according to CBPP, which breaks down to a little less than $6 per day per person, okay? The state administers the programs with much of the funding coming from the federal government. Several states have pledged to use their own funds to cover any shortfall. However, the federal government has warned that they will not be reimbursed, okay? So if some of these states, they may go in and still give people stuff, but some of these states are probably not going to do it, right? Some, including Massachusetts, where 1 million people are expected to lose benefits, have said they do not have enough money to make up for the lack of funds. Okay, and we just saw, you know what I mean, the governor from Massachusetts. Many states are working with people in SNAP to try to locate charity food pantries and find alternative sources for meals, and California is deploying its National Guard to help distribute food. The U.S. government shutdown entered its 26th day on Sunday, making it the second longest shutdown in history. Now, what I just typed in here so y'all can see is U.S. aid to Israel in 2025. Now, they've been willing to give U.S. aid and assistance to Israel, right? But you can't give aid and assistance for people to eat in this country, right? In 2025, the U.S. provided significant military aid to Israel, including an estimated $4 billion in emergency military assistance approved in March, ongoing foreign military financing, and support for missile defense systems. Additionally, a new $8 billion arms sale for systems like Hellfire missiles was announced in early 2025, and funding was allocated for joint programs like the U.S.-Israel anti-tunneling and counter unmanned aerial systems, CUAS programs. So they've been given all this money, and you can see Kwame Ture said what he said years ago, right? When they was having black and white footage, he said what he said, and here we are in 2025. They have given $8 billion. You know what I'm saying? $4 billion in emergency military assistance was approved in March, right? Additionally, a new $8 billion arms sale for systems like Hellfire missiles was announced in early 2025. So that's basically $12 billion that they basically had funded with Israel, just at the beginning of this year alone, right? But yet you can't, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can't come together, you know what I mean? And we know that all of these AIPAC, Congress people, they can go in and vote and get things passed to aid Israel, but y'all can't go in and get things passed to make sure that the people, will be provided with food to eat. Make that make sense. So again, you have to ask yourself, who is the government working for, right? Is it a government for Israel and the Jewish people? Or is this the government, the United States government for America? Because what you see them doing is, they collect taxes from the United States people. Y'all can fund the government, but yet, the politicians are still getting their money. But yet, you're not going to, provide food for the poor. Are you serious? This is what you have to understand what's going on with these people. This is ridiculous, but it just goes to show you the level of, the hearts of these people, right? So anyway, let's go to our next clip, right? Because I want to show y'all, I'm not going to show y'all crash outs, in this video. If that's what you came to see, you're not going to see it. But I'm going to show you that some of these people that you think are crying out, they're really, intelligent people, right? Because they understand what's going to happen within the economy. Should this happen, and how this all can affect everything in this country. Let me show y'all the next clips.
This morning I called my local DSS office and I asked them to confirm whether or not what I was hearing was true, knowing it was true, that SNAP benefits are not coming next month. And she said, yeah, no, you're right, they're not coming. I said, okay, well, I hadn't heard anything, confirming what I'm hearing, so I was just calling to check. And she said, you're not going to hear anything. And I said, well, why? And she said, well, your local DSS are trying to figure out what's going on, but the state DSS is not planning on telling anybody what's going on. They're not planning on letting the citizens know that they're not going to get their food stamps next month. She also said that this would likely go on into December, that we will likely not get December's SNAP benefits. So that's great. That's lovely. So I'm coming to TikTok in hopes that there is an answer here. I don't know what the answer could be. I don't know what the solution could be. I don't know if is it mutual aid? Is it mutual aid? Do we all need to come together and start pooling our money and help these families like myself, like my mother, like my grandmother, who don't have the money to replace those benefits, who don't have the income to replace those benefits? What do we do? Because there are children, there are elderly, there are disabled people who do not have the money. And I have 3 children. And I have to feed them. The last time I came on here and talked to you guys about the SNAP benefits, I was full on crashing out. I'm not crashing out this time. I'm scared, but I'm fucking angry. This time I'm angry. And I will not just sit here and mope and cry about it. I will not sit here and just panic and sit in the floor and scream and cry this time. This time we need a plan. We need something that we can do together to figure this out. If you know of any creators, any organizations that are pulling stuff together and are trying to figure out what's going on, help me. Send them my way, or send me their way, because we have too many people in this country to let starve.
All right, so y'all see, this is not just a black thing, you know what I'm saying? This is a black-white thing, right? This is going to affect Americans of every, race and color, right? And the fact that these people are willing to do this, it just goes to show you. And from what she said, they already telling people that it's going to go into December. Now, we don't know. We're going to have to see. That's all I can say about that. But you keep in mind, there's 2 things that I think, that this is for. Number one, you know how every time you get, a president of one party, they initially go in and they have control of the Congress, that same party. But then what happens? That first election for Congress, the House and the Senate both usually flip to the point the majority goes to the other party. So could this be their excuse to make it look like, or to make people legitimately go out here, the Democrats to come out en masse so that they would, vote for their Congress people and flip the Congress to the point the majority of Congress becomes Democratic? You see what I'm saying? They may be playing with people's, food, and resources just so they can have a cover story to make everybody look like they went out there and voted Democrat, so they can flip the House and the Senate. But then on the other hand, them pulling this garbage right here in November and December. And that Congress usually takes a break in December. Now, these people are still getting their paychecks and whatever, and you got people going to work, with federal jobs who are not even getting paid, and you pull this right at the time during the holiday season where it's your biggest shopping season. That's going to affect the economy. You see what I'm saying? You can't just pull that money out of whatever, out of people's food and resources, you know what I'm saying? Because now they're going to have to take, regular money that they may have for bills and all this type of stuff and put it, for their food, and some people ain't even going to have that option. But here it is that they could have, they could have still funded this. But yet, now you're willing to, put American people, in peril because y'all are sitting up here playing games because you got another agenda. Now, if this goes into December, this could completely wreck the economy. Now they got an excuse to begin to wreck the economy and whatever. But also, you got to look at it from this angle. You're going to cause a lot of people to start going to these food pantries or to these churches, right? A lot of these, 501c3 churches that, they might provide with these food and meals and all this type of stuff. But is it that because they want to bring people into these Zionist churches again so they can go back and now start, retraining people about supporting Israel? See, so you got to watch. They got a couple of plays that they can be doing in this, right? So that's why I want everybody to understand and be, on guard but to understand that if you get in peril, if you are a person, you need to cry out against these wicked people, you know what I mean, on the Trump administration and, you know what I mean, the Democrat Congress, you know what I'm saying, they are working together to pull this crap. You see what I'm saying? They act like they're against each other. They ain't against each other. They're working together to pull this crap and bring suffering and affliction to the poor, right? And what I'm making this video is so people know you are supposed to cry out. If you are poor and you don't know what to do, that's what it tells you to do, is to cry out to the Most High Yah. And we're going to get into some more scriptures in a minute. But let's go back and I want to show y'all some more clips that I pulled from TikTok.
Oh no. 42 million Americans are getting ready to lose their SNAP benefits if the government doesn't open up by the 1st. Well, Chrissy, how does this affect you? It doesn't. I don't have any SNAP benefits, and if I want to feed myself, I have to use the money that I worked hard for. But please, let me know how it feels that the Democratic Party would essentially allow 42 million people, American citizens, to starve just so they can advocate for illegal immigrants to have insurance. Wow, that's a tough draw right there. God, I bet it makes y'all's heart hurt.
And that right there is what stupidity looks like, right? Because you're not taking into account there's poor people who have children. There's elderly people who no longer are working. You know, you're just thinking, oh, it's not going to affect me. It will eventually affect you, right? But I'm not going to even go into that. I'm going to let, some of these women, you know what I mean? Israelite women, I'm going to let an Israelite woman break it down and show you, see, people just think that people, because they're on these SNAP benefits, whatever, they don't have no common sense. I'm going to show you that a lot of people understand the economy better than, you know what I mean? These people think, oh, I got a job and it's not going to affect me. You don't understand. You get that type of money pulled out of the system, right? You know what I mean? There's people going to lose jobs behind this, right? And then it becomes a trickle down effect, right? But anyway, let's go to the next clip, and you know what I mean? And you'll see somebody break it down. I could get into it, but I'm going to let other people speak on this. Let's go.
Let me give you guys another economics 101 lesson, because I see a lot of people talking about how, oh, well, if SNAP benefits, EBT, gets taken away, that's, how can taxes suck? It's not going to affect us. So let me explain to you how this works. Let's go back into the supply and demand chain that we talked about last time with tariffs. In 2021, $125 billion, right, were given out in SNAP benefits for people to go spend at the grocery store. Not regular people, just people on SNAP. $125 billion. Keep that in your brain. In 2023, 84 billion SNAP benefits were given out to people that went and were spent in stores. Okay, now keep all of those numbers in mind. Now you're subtracting that 124 billion. You're subtracting that $84 billion that grocery store would receive via people coming and spending money there. These grocery stores are losing hundreds of thousands, millions, literally billions of fucking dollars. What does that mean? That means the grocery stores are going to be struggling to pay their employees. What does that mean? That means the prices of food are going to have to go up. Is it clicking now, Steven? That small brain, is it fucking clicking? All right. Now that I got you here, what else do you think is going to happen? Tupac made an analogy, right? And he's like, you're going to knock on the door. The motherfuckers have a banquet inside. They're eating. They're going to say, hey, do you mind throwing us some food? We're down. We can't eat. Close the door. Comes back, knocks a little harder. Hey, we're still hungry. We can't eat. Closes the door. Comes back, they're banging. We're hungry. They're still partying. Fuck you. Close the door. They're going to stop asking. They're going to start fucking taking, right? If you're out here trying to starve people, if you're trying to be out here and starve their children, if you're out here trying to starve these families, they're going to start taking the shit. They're going to fucking start taking it. I'm sorry. And what the fuck are you going to say? What are you going to do? Now these grocery stores are out of even more fucking money because they're out of even more product, because the money that was going to be spent, right, in those stores was taken, given to God knows what, a goddamn fucking ballroom bitch. And now these people are, not only are you out of $84 billion, now they're stealing. Now you're out of even fucking more money. Now you're out of more. Do you guys understand where I'm going with this? Right. So whenever people say things don't affect you, they will always affect you. This is not an isolated incident. This is not hurting certain people or anything. And the funniest thing about it is it's literally hurting Donald Trump's party. Like, I'm sorry. They get a majority of the fucking SNAP too. Them bitches finna be hungry. Go farm some land somewhere and find it. Find it, bitch. It's going up for everybody. This man is literally ruining this economy. He's single-handedly fucking with America, fucking it the fuck up. Don't get me started on healthcare. But yeah, I wanted to say that because I've seen a lot of people saying it wasn't going to affect them, and it in fact will. I hate to say it. Anyways, y'all, take care. Hopefully this lesson helped y'all.
If you are naive enough to think that the pause to SNAP benefits on November 1st isn't going to affect you because you don't receive food stamps, I want you to hear this. About 1 in 8 Americans receive SNAP benefits. In fact, in Oklahoma, where I live, that's 1 in 6 people. So about 600,000 people in my state alone, Oklahoma, receive SNAP benefits. About 1 in 4 children in the U.S. receive SNAP benefits. But you're not one of those people, so you don't care. But hang with me. When those benefits go away, just about $9 billion in grocery spending vanishes. So you've got to be thinking about not just the grocery stores being able to stay open and pay their employees, but you have to think about the entire supply chain, trucks on the road, people who provide food to these grocery stores. $9 billion. Every dollar spent in SNAP benefits adds about $1.50 to $1.80 to the economy. So cutting those benefits isn't saving that dollar, it's taking away that $1.50 to your local economy. But you don't receive SNAP benefits, you don't work for a grocery store, you don't drive a truck, you don't give a shit. But when all of those things happen, the only way to combat that is to drastically increase the price of groceries. Grocery prices are already up over 3% in 2025 alone, which is almost an entire percentage higher than the average increase in grocery prices over the last 20 years. I thought they were supposed to go down day one though. So even if SNAP benefits only pause for 1 month, which by the way would be detrimental to all the people I mentioned before that you don't give a shit about, it will cost the economy roughly $13 to $14 billion in profit. And you can expect your grocery prices in just that 1 month to go up at least 1%. And states will stand to lose about $300 to $500 million in sales tax revenue. So even if you do not receive SNAP benefits, you never have, you never will, you do not want these to be paused on November 1st.
Y'all know what's so interesting to see? The amount of public crash out I am seeing across the nation on my timeline and on every platform I go on about these SNAP benefits. Now hold on before you hold my foot to the fire, because I totally agree with the way people are reacting towards this. The problem is, someone asked me the other day, how can we get the young people to engage? How can we pull them out? How can we get them to liberate themselves? How can we get them to fight and have that momentum and show strength through times like this? And I told them, and I kid you not, I said, unfortunately, the only thing that we can do is allow them to see for themselves what is happening. The only thing that we can do is allow for them to go through these things while simultaneously still fighting the fight, and wait for them to join in with us. Because it is outrageous how many people think it is funny that families across this nation is about to lose SNAP benefits, which some of these families absolutely have to rely on. Even working 2 to 3 jobs at a time, they still need that extra assistance. Because you know why? The cost of living is, your salary ain't going nowheres. Ain't going nowheres. And a lot of y'all think it's funny. It's not funny. You know how many children, how many babies will be without food if this actually happened? Now, I haven't seen anything that confirmed that New York State was absolutely not going to send out SNAP benefits in the month of November. But I did see some interesting things that said that they're asking them to hold it. They're asking them to not send it out. Now, as far as what may happen, we don't know. But think about the holidays that's coming up. Some of these families aren't going to be able, they're going to have to hold on and squeeze every little penny they got and really be tight for because they don't know if they're going to be able to feed their kids Thanksgiving Day dinner, Christmas Day dinner. Even if it's delayed, I hear a lot of people saying they didn't say that they was stopping. They said that it was going to be delayed. It don't matter. One day delay, a delay of one day is very traumatic to people who don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And the heartlessness I see is crazy. People who laughing, who think that what the president doing is funny. It's none of that. It's actually disheartening and disgusting. It's actually an embarrassment to see your leader show out the way that he's showing out. Like, that is very impulsive. That's impulsive behavior. But if y'all like it, what can I say? I'm going to keep following and standing on the right side of history. I'm going to still continue to put my boots on the ground and make sure that I am fighting for my family. You guys don't want to, that's fine. You fight for what you feel is right for. You protect your family the way you feel like you need to protect yours, and I'm going to protect mine the way I feel like I need to protect mine. You fight for what you feel is unfair to your family, and I'm going to continue to fight for what I feel like is unfair to mine. The reality of it is, a lot of y'all is not going to understand until it all come crashing down. And baby, you guys are so near. You'll see. I need you not. You're going to have to miss me with all that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that, because I'm actually sitting down, doing the research, doing the homework, paying attention, following the policies on the Congress page, looking at what bills are trying to be introduced and trying to be passed. If you're not doing none of that, please don't come debate me on here about anything. Don't do it.
All right. So you see, right? A lot of people will understand, the domino effect, right? You push one domino down in the line and then everything just starts falling. This could literally, you know what I'm saying, crush the United States economy. You know what I mean? And depending on how long they let this go, right? Did they move, National Guard into place and all this stuff over the last couple months when all that stuff with ICE and all that? Were they just really positioning people because they knew what they were about to do? See, I don't trust the government at all. And a lot of times people, are going to go through this, they're going to see these things, and then, they're going to just think, oh, this is just natural reactions or whatever. And a lot of this stuff is planned, So the bottom line is, what you got to understand is, are they now getting ready to bring down the system? Are they getting ready to bring down the economy, right? And people, the sad part about it is you can't get people out of this left-right thinking that, oh, it's the Democrats that's doing it. Oh, it's Donald Trump and they're doing it. No, they're both doing it. You see what I'm saying? They're all doing it because they're going to go home and their families are going to eat, and they're not going to care about the poor of the land. And they think that they're going to be able to get away with all this and ain't nothing going to happen to them. But see, this is why, people need to know the word of God. This is why when you're in a situation like this, and this is why you don't depend on man. You depend on the Father, right? Now you put your faith in the Father, right? You know what I mean? You poor, you a widow, you the fatherless, you cry out to the Most High, right? You have your children praying and calling out and crying out to the Most High. Because if he hears the children praying and he hears them, crying out, it's going to really be some problems. These rich people don't understand what's going on, right? They're messing around in the wrong field. You know what I'm saying? Because if you oppress the poor, the Father said he will come get you. And I'm going to show y'all that right now. Let's go to the word. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 7 through 11. Let's pick it up here. This is in the law, right? And this is where when the Father gave Israel the commandments and said, this is how you set up my kingdom. This is what you do. These are the rules of what you are to operate by. But of course, as Israel, we didn't do what we were supposed to do. And that's the reason why, instead of us being the head of the nations, we're now the tail of the nations, right? But it's still, these laws would tell you what a sin is and what a sin is not, right? When you do things that God said not to do, you're in sin. So this is why I want y'all to know these things and to understand these things. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 7 through 11. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within any of thy gates in thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother. But thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need in that which he wanteth. Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the seventh year, the year of release, is at hand. So this seventh year is anytime somebody owed you, in the seventh year, you got to let all debts go, right? So, and some people, of course, if it's the sixth year, it's like, I'm going to give him this and he ain't never going to have to pay me back, right? So the bottom line is, if you loan somebody something in that seventh year, I don't care. You got to let it go, right? So this is why he said, beware that there not be a thought in your heart, saying, the seventh year, the year of release is at hand, and thine eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him not, and he cry unto the Lord against thee, and it be sin unto thee. So you see, if the poor cry out against you, So if the poor start crying out against these politicians, right, for the crap that they're pulling, it's sin on them, right? Verse 10, thou shalt surely give him, and thine heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him, because that for this thing the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thy works, and in all that thou puttest thine hand unto. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. So when you got people who sit up here and get on your high horse and you despise the poor, you don't even understand, right? Because the Most High can yank and take everything from you, and the next thing you know, you be the poor of the land, right? But that's why he said, for the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command thee, saying, thou shalt open thine hand wide unto thy brother, to thy poor, and to thy needy in thy land. Next, let's go Exodus chapter 22, verse 21 through 24. And this is where, I think I might get some people's attention in this. Verse 21, thou shalt neither vex a stranger. So this is what we talk about. The children of Israel, if you had strangers amongst you, except for the Canaanites, you know what I'm saying? You were to treat them just like they were born in the land, like they were one of the Israelites. So all this stuff about people saying, oh, the Gentiles can't be saved and all that, y'all don't even understand. It one law for him that was born in the land and one law for, the stranger, period, right? Verse 21, thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. You see that? You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword. And your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. You see that? God said, the Most High Yah said, if you afflict a widow or a fatherless child, he will kill you if they cry unto him. Now, all these politicians, they want to do stuff like this to the poor, the widow, and the fatherless child. You're putting your own life in peril. Next, let's go to Zechariah chapter 7, verse 10 through 12. And what do we see? And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor, and let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears, that they should not hear. Yea, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law and the words which the Lord of hosts hath sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from the Lord of hosts. So you see, when Israel was doing the very thing I showed y'all that they wasn't supposed to do, this is the reason we got kicked out. This is another reason for us being kicked out of the land and the Most High rendering judgment against us. So when these heathens think they can turn around and do the same thing and oppress and don't learn from our mistakes, oh, you're going to get it too. You know what I'm saying? Don't think that you're going to pull this crap and you're going to make the children cry out. And if the children cry out, and the widow and the fatherless and all this judgment is coming on these daggone so-called politicians. They don't even know, right? But see, they want to try to use this to make people start supporting them. All people really have to do is cry out to the Father about this. And they got big time trouble. The Most High said he will kill them. You see what I'm saying? Right? Verse 12. Yeah, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law and the word which the Lord of hosts has sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from the Lord of hosts, right? James chapter 1, verse 27. What does it say? Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. So you see, a lot of these right-wing people, you know what I'm saying, supposed to be the religious right, and you despise the poor. You got issues, you see. You got big-time issues. Your religion, you know what I'm saying, is defiled. You know what I'm saying? Because you hate, you know what I'm saying, the fatherless, the widows, and the poor, right? And you don't understand. You're one step away from the Father making you, you know what I'm saying, a fatherless, a widow, you know what I'm saying, and making you poor. You know what I mean? So this isn't something that people need to play with. People need to understand. These wicked people in power are causing the people to suffer. And the Most High is not going to be pleased with that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. All right, next we're going to go Proverbs 29:2. What does it say? When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So you see, all the people, you know what I mean, that can sit here and tell you vote Democrat, vote Republican, you're going to see. It doesn't matter which party gets in there or what president gets in there. They all do the same thing. They're all being paid by AIPAC, right? And what Americans have been doing increasingly more and more and more, the people are mourning, right? The people are suffering. So that tells you about your leadership. That tells you about your government. That you see what I'm saying? You got wicked bearing rule. Wicked people who are bearing rule, you know what I'm saying, and causing the people to mourn. Because all they are is they're about themselves, right? All right, next we go James chapter 2, verses 1-10. What do we see? My brethren, have not the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with respect of persons, right? For if there come into your assembly a man with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiment, and you have respect to him that weareth the gay clothing, and say unto him, sit thou here in a good place, and say to the poor, stand thou there, or sit here under my footstool? Are you not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him? And you know why? Because the poor know they have to, they depend on the Father. They know to pray and to cry out. They don't have the ability to trust in riches, right? So what they do, you know what I'm saying, is in order for them to basically, you know, get what they need, they pray, right? And they cry out and they see. I know I've been unemployed. I know what it is. And there's been many a times where I prayed and didn't know where my resources would come from. And the Father, you know what I mean, turned around and blessed me and gave me what I need, to the point he built up my faith. You see what I'm saying? That's why I don't, if they shut the whole economy down, it ain't going to affect me none, right? Because I've been there and I've done that. And I know to pray. When you don't know what to do, I know what to do. I cry out to my Father, and he always takes care of me. Always, right? So this is why it says, have not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him? But you have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you, right? This is about to be oppression caused by these people, right? They got contingency funds. They got that, and they're choosing not to do this. They're choosing to cut people off, and they're just going to play the blame game. You know what I'm saying? Trump is going to blame the Democrats. The Democrats are going to blame Trump, but the people are going to be the ones who are going to suffer behind this, right? But this is what it says. You have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Do not they blaspheme that worthy name by the which you are called, right? These same people running here, and then they'll show their faces to you every 4 years, and then go to your churches and everything else and ask you to vote for them. But then they turn around and they'll go send money over there to a foreign country, but won't even take care of their own, right? What does the Bible say? A man that provides not for his own house is worse than an infidel, right? Do not they blaspheme that worthy name by the which you are called? If you fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, you do well. If you was poor and you didn't have anything to eat and you was dependent on those benefits, would you not fight for those benefits if it was going to affect you and your children, right? But no, they want to let it pass by and then stand there and say, oh, playing the blame game with each other and all this type of stuff. Well, the people know to cry out against all of y'all who are in authority. The Most High said, if you afflict these children, I will kill you. You see what I'm saying? Verse 9, but if you have respect to persons, you commit sin or are convinced of the law as transgressors. So you don't get to look and see just because somebody's rich and have respect for them, but then you disrespect and you look down on the poor and his suffering. You commit sin when you do that. That's what's called respect of persons, okay? Verse 10, for whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, you being a respecter of poor persons, you're guilty of all, because you don't know how to love your neighbor as yourself. Let's talk about, poor people, why you got to understand. You don't put your faith and your trust in these politicians in man. because you see what they're about to do, right? The bottom line is you always, and I don't care whether you rich or whether you poor. I don't care if you got a lot of money, if you got no money. Because at the end of the day, if you trust in your riches, you're going to be tried by that. The bottom line is you always put your faith and your trust in the Most High Yah and in his only begotten Son. Some of y'all say Yahusha, some of y'all say Yahweh Shai, some of y'all say Jesus, right? Chapter 17, Jeremiah, verse 1. The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their heart and upon the horns of your altars. Whilst their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills. O my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to the spoil, and thy high places for sin throughout all thy borders. So you see, when judgment falls, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you have, because the Most High will raise up people to come and take it from you. You see what I'm saying? Verse 4, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage. So this is what happened to the Israelites, that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For you have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. That's why they were supposed to learn. Everybody was supposed to learn and see, this is why this happened to the Israelites. This is why all this happened, right? And if we go down the road that they went down, judgment will come on us as well. And that's what the rest of the nations, now they're about to get theirs, okay? But this is what you're supposed to have learned. Verse 5, thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. So if you're poor and you don't have anything, you're supposed to cry out to the Most High. If he's going to hear anybody, he's going to hear you. You see what I'm saying? But if you want to go out here and steal and take his name in vain that he can't help you, you're only going to make your situation worse, right? So thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabit it. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is, right? So when you don't know what to do, you're supposed to know what to do. You get on your knees, you go into the closet, and you pray to the Father in secret. And the Father who seeth in secret will reward you openly, right? Because what did Jesus teach you, right? He knows what you have need of before you ask him. So you shouldn't be panicking and crashing out. You should be going to the Father and praying, right? Verse 8, for he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when he cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways, and according to the fruit of his doings. As the partridge sitteth on the edge, and hatcheth them not, so he that getteth riches and not by right shall leave them in the midst of his days, and at his end shall be a fool. So you see, bottom line is, just because you rich and you think you got, the Most High can always raise up, adversaries against you to take those riches that you have. And then the next thing you know, you will be poor, and your children may end up fatherless, and your wife may end up a widow. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 8 through 9, what do we got? Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? See, that's what happens. That's the trap you fall in when you're rich. You think, oh, I got money. I can rely on my money. I don't need God. I don't have to pray. Right? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my God in vain. So you see, when people get into poverty, you know what they're going to do. They're expecting this. If they cut these benefits off for extended period of time, they already know the poor are going to start stealing. Those poor that don't have faith in the Father, right? Because those people, you take the name of God in vain. You don't think he can help you. So what you're going to do is try to take matters into your own hand. And you got a lot of people saying that they're going to go out there and do that. But you risk, adding, digging a deeper hole for yourself, in which these people may be sitting there planning for you to do that, in which they lock you up and put you in prison so you can work for them for free, you see, for very cheap labor. You see what I'm saying? Or for them to begin to put us in such a situation with all these wars and everything to start, the next thing you know, they turn around here and say, oh, come join the military, right? You know what I mean? The military is now offering whatever to try to make people go in there and join the military before they have to institute a draft. So you got a lot of things that may be going on right now that, you know, people are just looking at this on a surface level. No, this is a trickle down effect that can affect everything. All right. Let's close out with this last scripture. Psalm chapter 62, right? Let's pick it up at verse 1. Truly my soul waiteth upon God, for him cometh my salvation. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. How long will you imagine mischief against a man? You shall be slain, all of you. As a bowing wall shall you be, and as a tottering fence. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. Selah. My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. And God is my salvation and my glory, the rock of my strength, and my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times. You people, pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Selah. Surely men of low degree are vanity, and men of high degree are a lie. To be laid in the balance, they are altogether lighter than vanity. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. God has spoken, once, twice have I heard this, that power belongeth unto God. Also unto thee, O Lord, belongeth mercy, for thou renderest to every man according to his work. All right, so there it is. And that's the moral of the story to all this. And that's what everybody has to understand, right? You have to have your faith in the Most High Yah. Christ told us, you know what I'm saying? We're going to approach at the time of the end where it's going to be the beginning of sorrows. Now, is this what they're about ready to pull? I can't tell you that this is what's getting ready to happen, right? I don't know. But all I can say is your faith is supposed to be in the Father right now. You're supposed to have your faith fully planted in the Most High Yah. That way, if things come that, you know what I'm saying, that put you in a bind, you know what I mean, you still know where your help is coming from. And you still know to cry out. And that way, you know what I'm saying, see, the Father may put us in situations to test our faith. That's what the trial of your faith is about, right? So he may put you in a situation to see whether or not you're going to cry out to him, to see whether or not you're going to pay, you're going to, you know what I mean, wait and be patient and let the Father work situations out, right? This is what the whole Bible is about. Sadly, you know what I'm saying, the people haven't been taught correctly, even when they do try to go to church, right? So this is why you say, you know what I mean, right now, you know, I'm making this video because, you know, this could really have a lot of negative impact on a lot of lives. You know what I'm saying? These people are playing with fire, right? And I just want to make sure that at least, you know, there's a message out here for people who, that if you get in a situation where you feel hopeless, you know you are never hopeless if you cry out to the Most High Yah. If you have to, you go to him and you ask him, forgive me for my sins. Forgive me for my trespasses. I know I haven't done things like I'm supposed to do. Have mercy on me. I want to accept Jesus, Yahusha, Yahushua as my personal Lord and Savior. And I'm asking you, you know, Father, to have mercy on me. I'm asking you to fill me with your Holy Spirit. And I pray, Father, that you would lead me and guide me, and that you would provide for me the things that you know I have need of, right? This is what you having faith in the Father is all about. And this is what the Father wants, you know what I'm saying, from all of his children, right? So the bottom line, this is going to be, you know, this can, if this goes down, you know what I'm saying now, you know what, it looks like November is already said and done. They're already going to do this. But if they let this trickle into December, you know, during the holidays, this is going to have some pretty, you know, solid effects on the economy. So you just got to be, you know what I mean, prepared for this. You know what I mean? If you haven't stored, you should have been storing. People been trying to tell you, you know what I mean? But now, you know what I'm saying? It's more important now just to have your faith in the Father, period. That's what this is all about. You expect things to get worse, right? Before they get better. But they're going to mess around, and that's what they're going to bring judgment upon themselves. And that's why people, you cry out. If you don't have and you're in lack and you're in need and you're afraid, you stay on your knees and you keep praying, right? You pray your way through this, right? You'll be fine. Most High gonna take care of you, right? That's all you got to do is just keep praying and believing and trusting in the Father, all right? With that being said, thank y'all for watching. Hopefully this helps you. You know what I'm saying? We got to pray, people. You know what I'm saying? Also, you know what I mean? Let's remember, you know what I'm saying, the people down there, our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, right? You know what I mean? That hurricane come through there, you know what I'm saying, and all the islands down there in the Caribbean that this hurricane is going to affect. You know what I mean? We need to lift up prayer for our brothers and sisters down there too, because they're getting ready to go through some hard times, okay? So we got to be mindful, you know what I'm saying, and not just look at, our situation, but also understand we got to cry out for, all of us who's scattered in the diaspora, all right? Y'all have a blessed and wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Till we meet again. Shalom.